What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home. A very good evening to and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Meeting budget targets is at risk. Increasing VAT will lead to prices of goods increasing by more than 8%, says Fitch Ratings. Corp chairman's conduct in cricket inquiry is questionable. The opposition reveals in Parliament.
කෝප් එකේ සභාපතිවරයා මෙහෙම කටට ඇඟිල්ල තියලා යම්කිසි පුද්ගලයෙකුට උපදෙස් දෙනවා උත්තර දෙන්න එපයි කියලා.
මට සිද්ධ වුණා කියන්න කරුණා කරලා එක්කෙනෙකුට කතාව කරන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න කියලා.
Punish those who led Sri Lanka's economy to bankruptcy. Several factions express views regarding the Supreme Court decision.
ඊයේ දවසෙත් අද දවසෙත් මට මිනිස්සු ඇවිල්ලා කිව්වේ හාමුදුරනේ මේ අයට ප්‍රජා ඉතිහාසය අහෝසි කරන්න.
ගොල්ලන්ට එවැනි රට පාලනය කිරීමට දේශපාලන ගමනක් යාමට නොහැකි වෙන විදිහේ නීතිමය පියවරක් අනිවාර්යෙන් ගත යුතුයි.
China seeks permission for another research vessel. A special representative of President Xi Jinping to arrive in Colombo this weekend. Kohli sets record for the highest ODI centuries.
In your top story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his capacity as the finance minister, highlighted efforts to stabilize and reconstruct the economy, including negotiations with the IMF and bilateral discussions aiming for positive results in December.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe addressed the Budget 2024 forum under the theme A Tightrope Walk, organized by the Colombo University MBA Alumni Association.
So what I have done is to first stabilize the economy and reconstruct the economy. You can't do it in a budget, no. The first was coming to an agreement with the IMF last year. Second was the budget of last year. We've come to the last stages of the bilateral negotiations. We have got responses from everyone, including China, and we hope when they sit in December this year that there will be positive results. We have to live within our means, this government or next government or government after that. And that's what we want to introduce. However difficult it is to tell the country this is what you have to do. It may be unpopular, but you have to do it. You have to take a lot of unpopular decisions. The speech I made and the proposals I made is not merely about stabilizing the economy. It is the new economy that we are going to reconstruct. And I will deal mainly with that. Some say this is election budget. This is more a budget for a new economy in which the people have benefited. You had to give a pay increase to the government servants. I would have liked to have given more, but I am not in a position to do so. Even this we have to start paying gradually after the first 3 months. To give the pensioners, you must realize how difficult it is for people to live. As far as the private sector is concerned, I think it's up to you because some of you have already made adjustments. We hope the others will make adjustments, but we will intervene. And I will speak to the plantation companies which come under the finance ministry now in regard to the plantation workers. So those are pay increases that we have to give.
The president also commented on the Aswasuma program.
Second is Aswasuma. We have increased the expenditure about 3 times from 60 billion to how much? To nearly 183 billion. This is no longer a political system. It's a part of the new social contract that we are building. We have to pay for everything. If you want a good government service, as you said, pay for it. But you have to look after the people who can't afford to pay. Then the money we give under Samurdhi was not sufficient. And we have to select those who are deserving. So we increased it 3-fold. It was done after discussion with the IMF and the World Bank. We can't just depend on one budget to turn the economy up. Budget is only what the government is going to do, which will have an impact on the private sector and the financial world. The crisis was too big for us to deal it in one budget.
Fitch Ratings said that Sri Lanka's ambitious budget agenda faces high implementation risks.
Fitch Ratings says that the targets laid out in Sri Lanka's budget for 2024 will be challenging to meet, even with the economic recovery that we expect to continue next year. The fiscal deficit is said to be wider than our current forecast of 7.1% of GDP in 2024 in light of the new data, even after excluding bank recapitalization costs, and the revenue GDP ratio will be lower than we had assumed. Fitch Ratings says that the authorities aim to raise revenue by almost 45% in 2024, and this will be aided by a planned increase in the value-added tax to 18%, but the boost to revenue from inflation is set to weaken in 2024. Fitch projects consumer prices will rise by 8.7% on average in 2024, compared with 22.1% in 2023. It also noted that the presidential election in late 2024 will incentivize the government to keep to its spending plans, which include a 14% increase in spending on salaries and wages. The lift from economic growth, which Fitch projects at 3.3% in 2024, will also be modest.
Yesterday, Sri Lanka's Supreme Court declared the country's former president and ex-prime minister, among others, responsible for mishandling the nation's worst financial crisis last year. Sri Lanka's opposition has now called for action to be instituted against every faction that was behind the decisions that led the country to bankruptcy. Justice Minister Dr. Vijaydas Rajapaksa said that when Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected president, taxes were reduced following the intervention of racketeers.
Sri Lanka's Supreme Court on Tuesday ruled that wrong economic decisions taken by Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa and 3 others from 2019 to 2022 violated the fundamental rights of the citizens. The ruling was delivered following the consideration of petitions filed by Transparency International Sri Lanka, Chandra Jayaratne, Jehan Kanagaratne, Professor Mahim Mendis and Julian Bowling. Former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa, former Governors of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.D. Lakshman and Ajit Niwad Cabral, former Secretary to the Treasury S.R. Artigala, former Monetary Board and the former Secretary to the President Dr. P.B. Jayasundara were the respondents in these applications. However, in Parliament on Wednesday, it was stressed that in addition to the aforementioned group, there are others who intervened in making wrong economic decisions, and action must be taken against them as well.
If you had a look at the Supreme Court ruling yesterday, your faction said aye for the loss of 680 billion rupees in the very first budget. If you had stood and rejected it, the country would not have gone bankrupt. You are responsible for this as well. This parliament must be held responsible for not fulfilling the responsibilities with respect to financial management. Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke to Voyon and said that this was a man-made disaster. However, upon being elected, he appointed a select committee with the group that was instrumental in creating that disaster. We stepped out of that select committee. We remained in the opposition and took the matter to court. Furthermore, we had intellectuals and a strong legal team. The entire nation can claim compensation from all those who have been named. They were moved to a position where they can claim compensation for the destruction of the living standards of the people. The Supreme Court has facilitated that process. We, as the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, while in opposition and with the assistance of the court, have proven that the economic assassins are Gotabaya, Basil, Mahinda, Cabral, W.D. Lakshman, P.B. Jayasundara, Artigala and the Monetary Board. The Rajapaksas are always at the forefront when it comes to criticism because they always prioritize the process of providing relief to the people. It is clear via this verdict that it is wrong to provide relief. If the President, as the Finance Minister, had shown some reluctance with regard to providing relief, this could be the main reason. This sets a very bad precedent for future policy makers. State officials, former Finance Ministry secretaries, former Treasury officials and former governors would now be thinking twice as to why they placed their hands on the stove. Are you not ashamed of defending the Rajapaksas? The Supreme Court has delivered a ruling that the Rajapaksas and the Rajapaksa plan led the country to bankruptcy, and I wonder how it is that you still defend them. They say Gotabaya was ruined because he decided to award tax concessions. Gotabaya Rajapaksa actually awarded these concessions to his close associates. It could be the antigen mafia, quarantine mafia and even the medicine mafia. 30% of tax revenue was reduced and it cost the state 680 billion rupees in revenue annually. How can he go unpunished? They must be stripped of their civic rights following a criminal trial. Around 4 million families were below the poverty line earlier, and because of their economic management, now there are 7 million families below the poverty line.
එතකොට දැන් එයාට දඬුවම් නොදී කොහොමද?
බැංකුව අධිපති කරන්න එපයි කියලා මම එතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරා.
In 2006, I requested that Nivad Cabral not be appointed as the governor of the central bank. 17 years ago, when I presented the COPE report, I called for P.B. Jasundara, a corrupt official, to be removed from his position. I made 7 requests. That was the first. Unfortunately for Mahinda Rajapaksa, he did not heed that request. It was also unfortunate for Gotabaya Rajapaksa, as he appointed these 2 men immediately after he was elected. My points were proven by the ruling given by the Supreme Court. Experts requested Gotabaya Rajapaksa to approach the IMF for assistance. It was Cabral who did not allow him to do so. Today, we are facing the consequences of those decisions. Following the war victory, if he had completed this service and remained free, the people would have actually built statues in the name of Mahinda Rajapaksa. The people from villages were even prepared to revere him in a holy manner. However, who ruined it? It was Cabral, P.B. Jasundara and Basil Rajapaksa. The racketeers urged Gotabaya Rajapaksa to reduce taxes immediately after he was elected. Where are the people who benefited from it?
ජාවාරංකාරයෝ කිව්වා කපන්න බද්ද. කෝයේ බදු වාසි ගත්ත මිනිස්සු.
Mahinda Rajapaksa and Nama Rajapaksa responded.
අධිකරණය දෙන තීන්දුව කවුරු කරන්න ඕන. අපිට බෑ අධිකරණයට විරුද්ධව යන්න. ඉතින් අධිකරණය මම විශේෂම නීතිඥයෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් අපි කරු කරනවා. ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් අපි හැම වෙලාවෙම පෙනී ඉන්නවා.
We've always made decisions for the benefit of the people and not for individuals. We believe that we always decided on the well-being of the people. Some were not approved while others were not accepted. Yet all decisions were made with positive intentions. As a political party, we are strong. We will strengthen the grassroots. We will move forward with the people, strengthening the party.
The Frontline Socialist Party said many other factions are responsible for leading Sri Lanka to bankruptcy.
How many more people are responsible for this issue? Those who advised Gotabaya Rajapaksa regarding the fertilizer policy, state officials who intervened to lead the economy towards destruction, people who speak in parliament now as if they are not at fault, those who are involved in fraud and corruption, and those responsible for the central bank bond scam are not included in this. What measures can be taken regarding them? And what will happen to them thereafter?
Former MP Mujibur Rahman expressed these views.
මේ රාජපක්ෂලා ගත්ත මේ තීන්දුව වලට අත විශ්වපු මේ වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයත් එක්ක කැබිනට් එකේ වාඩි වෙලා ඉන්න අයත් මේකේ වගකීම් බාර ගන්න ඕනේ.
Those who supported the decision reached by the Rajapaksas and those sitting in Vikramasinghe's cabinet should also take responsibility. The SLPP majority in parliament should accept responsibility. Whether it is the Viatmaga or Dr. Padaniya, where are they now? They were the Rajapaksas' advisors who called for various bans. They are all party to the Supreme Court's decision.
ඔය වියත්මග වෙන්න පුළුවන්, එළිය වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ડોક્ટર පාදනිය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ හැම එක්කෙනාම මේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ නඩු තීන්දුවත් එක්ක ඒගොල්ලොමුත් ඒකේ කොටස්කාරයෝ.
Venerable Dr. Valawahanguna Vavedam Ratanathero said the civic rights of economic assassins should also be abolished.
ඉන් සිද්ධ වෙන්න අධිකරණ තීන්දුවක් ඊයේ දවසේ අපේ රටේ මිනිස්සුන්ට දැනගන්න ලැබුණා. ඉතින් පින් සිද්ධ වෙනවා.
Thankfully, we received a court decision yesterday. If the people of this country are knowledgeable, they will no longer be lackeys for these political vagrants. They call this country a hell, but they push the country to a worse state. People met me both today and yesterday and said their civic rights should be taken away and that their property should be confiscated.
එන්න මේ හොර නඩේ කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේදී සිහිපත් කරනවා. ඊයේ දවසෙත් අද දවසෙත් මට මිනිස්සු ඇවිල්ලා කිව්වේ හාමුදුරනේ මේ අයට ප්‍රජා අයිතිය අහෝසි කරන්න ඕන. මේ රටේ මෙවුන්ට තියෙන මේ ප්‍රජා අයිතිය දේපලත් එක්ක රාජසන්තක කරගන්න ඕන කියලා තමයි අද රටේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ මතය ගොඩනැගිලා තියෙන්නේ.
Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca expressed these views.
රට පාලනය කිරීමට දේශපාලන ගමනක් යාමට නොහැකි වෙනුයි.
A legal measure must be taken to ensure they cannot rule the country or engage in politics again. If not, they will continue to repeat their mistakes. The charges were filed after considering the deals they made and documents they signed in their posts. But the court decision does not mention that this was the result of fraud and corruption. The main reason for this is fraud and corruption and the money the country lost through it.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Cricket filed a defamation lawsuit seeking damages amounting to 2.4 billion rupees on behalf of the Sri Lanka Cricket from Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe.
Sri Lanka Cricket said that on the 13th November 2023, the President, Vice President and Treasurer of Sri Lanka Cricket jointly filed defamation lawsuit in the District Court of Colombo. SLC said that the continuous dissemination of false and harmful statements by the Minister of Sports has caused substantial harm to the image of Sri Lanka Cricket, both domestically and internationally.
Sri Lanka Cricket was summoned to appear at the Committee on Public Enterprises or COPE on Tuesday evening. SLC Vice President Jayantha Dharmadasa did not attend the session due to an illness. However, all the other SLC officials were present. At the onset of the COPE session, its chairman, Professor Ranjit Bandara, noted that the investigation carried out with regard to the 2022 T20 World Cup audit report will be taken up for discussion. However, the conduct of the COPE chairman during the COPE session has come under fire from multiple factions.
ඔගොල්ලෝ බාර ගන්නකොට account එකේ කීයක් තිබුණාද මේ වෙනකොට දැන් කීයක් account එකේ තියෙනවද කියලා ඉතුරු වෙලා
අද වෙනකොට අපේ ගිණුමේ ඩොලර් මිලියන 25ක ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා ඩොලර් වලින් 5 බිලියන් ගෙවන්න තිබා 2016 දී දැන් අපිට ඩොලර් මිලියන 25ක මුදලක් අද වෙනකොට තියෙනවා
ලංකාවේ කෝචර්ස්ලට කරන ගෙවීම් ටික ලෝකේ අනිත් රටවල් කරන ගෙවීම් ඩොලර් සංඛ්‍යාවත් එක්ක යම් විශාල වෙනසක් තියෙනවද නැත්නම් මොකද තියෙනවද අපි
ලෝකල් කෝචර්ස්ලා වුණත් පිටරටින් ආවම මේ පිටරට ගෙවන ගණන් අපිට ගෙවන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා.
සියමාත තව එක ප්‍රශ්නයක්. අර ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ ප්ලේයර්ස්ලාට ගෙවන්නේ 25ක් වගේ කියලා. ඒක ෆික්ස් රේට් එකක්ද? ඒක පර්ෆෝමන්ස් බේසික්. පර්ෆෝමන්ස් බේස් එකේ අවුරුද්ද හැටියට right.
ප්‍රධාන විද්‍යාලයේද ඔය එක්කම පැන්නගෙන කරලාද මේ වෙනකොට අපි දන්නේ ඇත්ත කතාව. ඔබතුමාලාගේ අනුමැතිය තුමා හිතර ඔබතුමා මේ සභාපතිතුමා ඉන්න කාලේ නේ ඔබතුමා ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරිතුමා ඉන්න කාලේ ඇමරිකාවේ කවුන්සිල් වලට ඔය මීඩියා රයිට්ස් දීපු ලොකු විශාල මුදලක් ගියා කියලා
නෑ මට එකක් පැහැදිලි කරගන්න නෑ මට එකක් පැහැදිලි කරගන්න ඕන දැන්
පොඩි කෙටි උත්තර දෙන්න ඔබතුමා
ඒක
මේකේ නෑ
උත්තර දෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නෑ අපි එකඟතාවයකට ආවා
මෙච්චර වෙලා කතා පොඩ්ඩක් ඉඳලා ඔබතුමා මෙච්චර වෙලා කතා කරේත් එහෙනම් මේක තියෙනව නෙමෙයිනේ
නෑනේ
මේ මෙච්චර වෙලා කතා කරේත්
මේක අපි කරගන්න ඕනේ
ඉතින් ඔබතුමා මේ රටේ ක්‍රීඩකයන්ට සහ ප්‍රේක්ෂකයන්ට රටට වගකිය යුතු නැද්ද
පොඩ්ඩක් තේරුම් ගැනීමේ මේකක් මම කිව්වේ අපිට 7-5ක්වත් ආණ්ඩුවෙන් 7-5ක්වත් අපිට එන්නේ නැහැ. අපිට ඔක්කොම එන්නේ ICC එකෙන් තමයි සල්ලි මෙතිනිය. එතකොට අපි ඔක්කොම වියදම් කරන්නේ ප්‍රයිවට් කම්පැනි එකක් විදිහට තමයි මේක වියදම් කරන්නේ දැන් අපි. රයිට්? හැබැයි අපි ඒ ඔක්කොම රජයේ ප්‍රසම්පාදන ඒ ඔක්කොටම යටත් වෙලා තමයි මේක කරන්නේ.
We saw the chairman of COPE signalling someone to keep quiet, which means the COPE chairman is intentionally or unintentionally handling the answers being provided. This is a serious matter. Therefore, Honourable Speaker, you must conduct an inquiry into this.
If the COPE summons Sri Lanka Cricket again, MPs will be branded the wrongdoers and Sri Lanka Cricket officials will be judged as an honest lot. Each time someone was going to ask a question that would expose the Sri Lanka Cricket, he shushed them and made a hand signal for them to keep quiet. We have scheduled 3 dates, the 27th, 28th and 29th. The members of COPE decided to convene without the chairman and create an environment to investigate this. This cannot be solved with the chairman there.
I saw this particular video too, Honourable Speaker. If the opposition is proposing an investigation into it, we will not object.
I make this request. Create a separate select committee. Appoint an opposition MP as its chairman and inquire into cricket.
At certain times, I had to request MPs to allow others to speak. Each time I could not say it out loud, I had to gesture it. That is the truth. I wish to inform the Sports Minister that we cannot discuss in COPE what he sees on Facebook. We will only discuss the Auditor General's report and its facts. We will stick to that agenda. Do not meddle with independent committees and politicize them.
Still in local news, China has sought permission from Sri Lanka for another one of its state-of-the-art research vessels to engage in research and survey in the exclusive economic zone of the Sea of Sri Lanka. China is now requesting clearance for a vessel identified as Xian Yang Hong 3. Chinese officials have informed their Sri Lankan counterparts that the Xian Yang Hong 3 is expected to engage in research within Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone. According to reports, the Xian Yang Hong 3 is to engage in the research and survey from January 5th to February 20th next year. The Xian Yang Hong 3 is owned by Third Institute of Oceanology of the Chinese Ministry of Natural Resources. Xian Yang Hong 3's home port is listed as Xiameng, Fujian Province, is 99.6 meters in length and falls under the General Survey vessel. At the same time, the Chinese geophysical scientific research vessel Shiyang 6, which reached the port of Colombo in October in the midst of strong concerns from India, has once again indicated that it will be heading to Colombo. However, Sri Lanka's foreign ministry said that it was not informed about the arrival of the Chinese geophysical scientific research vessel Shiyang 6. The Shiyang 6 continues to navigate in the Indian Ocean. Over the years, over 17 state-of-the-art Chinese research survey vessels reached the Sea of Sri Lanka. The Xian Yang Hong 3 had visited Sri Lanka for the first time on the 13th of December 2017 and remained in Colombo and Trincomalee for a period of 18 days. The Xian Yang Hong 3 returned to Sri Lanka on the 22nd of December 2019 and remained in Sri Lankan waters until the 5th of January 2020. The Xian Yang Hong 18 reached Sri Lanka on the 6th of January 2018 and remained in Sri Lanka waters for days. The Xian Yang Hong 1 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lanka on the 11th of April 2019 and remained until the 15th of April 2019. The Xian Yang Hong 6 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lanka on the 27th of December 2019 and remained in Sri Lankan waters until the 17th of January 2020. The Xian Yang Hong 19 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lankan waters on the 11th of February 2020 and was anchored for 9 days. Shen will visit Sri Lanka from November 18 to the 21st at the invitation of the Sri Lankan government. The Chinese Foreign Ministry announced that Shen will engage in discussions with top government officials. At the invitation of Maldivian President-elect Mohamed Muizzu, Chinese President Xi Jinping's special envoy and State Councillor Shen Yiqin will visit the Maldives from the November 15 to 18th and attend the inauguration ceremony of the new president on November 17th in Male. New American Innovation Hub, iHub, was declared open in Batticaloa today.
U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung inaugurated a new American Innovation Hub in Batticaloa today. A joint initiative between the U.S. Embassy and Dream Space Academy, the iHub in Batticaloa aims to empower the youth of the Eastern Province, foster knowledge exchange and promote people-to-people ties between the United States and Sri Lanka.
The American iHub is a noteworthy addition, the fifth American space in Sri Lanka, joining our other centers in Colombo, Kandy, Mantara, and Jaffna. This new space is special and will serve as a vital link connecting the Eastern Province, not just with the United States, but also with the broader Sri Lankan community. And this holds immense promise for the youth, academic institutions, including Eastern, Southeastern, and Open Universities of Sri Lanka, as well as other schools throughout the entire region. It's an open, free of charge resource accessible to everybody. And across our country, our American Spaces provides a rich array of resources, including free internet access, diverse collection of multimedia materials, and a platform for cultural exchange programs, English classes, interactive group discussions with native speakers to enhance communication skills. Now, Youth Forum, this program is especially designed to foster leadership, the next generation of leaders, and community service engagement. While education advising sessions with Education USA advisors will offer guidance to those considering studying in the United States and collaborating with so much
She also commented on the support extended to Sri Lanka by the US.
This is the year of our 75th anniversary of Sri Lanka-US relationship. We've done so much over the past 75 years. But just in the past year and a half, through the economic crisis, we've been here standing side by side with the Sri Lankan people. We have provided fertilizer for all the paddy farmers in the country, including farmers right here in the Eastern Province. We have also supported U-Lead vocational training for the young people. We've also helped with the dairy production, how to increase dairy productivity, because I heard from many of the community members here in the Eastern Province how much the fishing and dairy and farming communities are so important to the heart of what they do and their livelihoods. I've also had an opportunity this week to meet with the National Peace Council and visit the Zion Church, which was bombed during the Easter bomb attacks, and meet with the mental health unit at Ampara General Hospital. In all these discussions, we learned about the trauma that people of different ethnic backgrounds and religious backgrounds have endured in the past, but also in the recent past of the economic crisis. And through some of our USAID programs, we've helped fund the mental health unit trainings to support the medical professionals and the volunteers who are addressing some of these mental health issues. Now, the waters around Sri Lanka, and especially the Eastern Province, are so rich in biodiversity. But how do you do that research and help make those marine species animals thrive, prevent the illegal trafficking? The United States is also proud to support that effort.
Governor of the Eastern Province, Senthil Tondaman, joined the occasion as a special guest.
Our children from here used to go to Jasna or Marsala or Kandy or Colombo. We never had an opportunity to develop their leadership qualities. So it was all a dream for the students of the Eastern Province basically to get an opportunity to get into this, developing this program, which is going to support all three communities living here.
In addition to the American iHub in Batticaloa, the US Embassy has interactive American spaces in Colombo, Kandy, Jaffna and Mathura.
Listening to the people. Can there be anything more important? The Gammadha movement has been doing this for over a decade. Today, as part of the 7th annual Gammadha door-to-door campaign, the teams walked across villages in Sri Lanka listening to what ordinary Sri Lankans had to say. Today is the day 9 of this year's door-to-door campaign, and our teams continue to hear truly heartbreaking stories.
I purchased a kilogram of Tangus thread for 2,700 rupees and it is now 3,200 rupees. A packet of fishing hooks was 250 rupees and now it is priced at 350 rupees. We cannot set out far into the sea with only 10 liters of fuel. We at least need 20 liters of fuel. Usually we catch around 1,500 fish, but this time it dropped to 800. How can we engage in our trade like this? If we don't work, our children will starve.
This was a voice from a fishing village in Mannar. When the Gammadha door-to-door team visited the fishing community in Silavathura Manor, the local fishermen spoke their hearts out and only wanted a reasonable price for their catch. Over at the Mullikulam village in the Musali division, the 120 families are threatened by constant encroachments of wild elephants. The Gammadha door-to-door team patiently listened to all the stories of horror and pain these villagers had to share.
I am afraid. We used to live with others, but because it is trouble for them, we live here. We cannot enter the premises. We cannot wash or dry our clothes. This is how I live.
Around 20 families in the Panaskanda village in Athuraliya Mathura are in danger. Almost every single house in this village faces the threat of landslides, and the people ask where they should go after abandoning their homes. The villagers say that instead of issuing warnings, authorities must provide a solution. The maternal clinic building in Gotapitiya is the only source of refuge for some 650 families.
When I tried to cross the river, I was attacked by a crocodile. I had to undergo a surgery.
Millions in material is being destroyed. We are sad because this is all public money. We suffered for 30 years. We do not have the means to purchase property. They say the number of families is insufficient to provide a water line.
බටලයින් ගන්න බෑ පවුල් සංඛ්‍යාව මදි කියලා.
Development programs have stalled due to the wrong decisions taken by officials. A bridge was to be constructed across the Kalawaya, linking the Kagama and Helabodugama villages in Anuradhapura. However, construction has stalled and the villagers say if the bridge existed, they could have easily travelled to Bulnavar and Galnavar, both neighbouring towns.
Newsfirst with the people.
Tragedy struck a school in Valampira today when a 7-year-old girl lost her life in an untimely manner. 5 other children were also injured in this accident. We'll take a look at the story in a short while, but moving on to yet another local story, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that measures will be taken to prevent artistic creations falling under various criminal laws. The President made this comment at the Presidential Film Awards 2023 held at Nellore Pokona Theatre in Colombo.
අපේ රැඟුම් පාලන පනත දැන් අවුරුදු 100ක් විතර විශේෂයෙන්ම පරණයි. අපි රැඟුම් පාලන මණ්ඩලය
The existing Public Performance Board Act, which is over a century in force, will be replaced by the establishment of an entertainment classification board. The elimination of the term censorship from artworks is imperative. Presently, artworks are subject to diverse criminal laws, causing challenges for artists. To address this, a comprehensive program is underway, envisioning the submission of films and television products to the classification board as a preliminary step. These proposed regulations are anticipated to be presented next year.
මුවෙන්ම අපේ වර්ගීකරණ මණ්ඩලය ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න. මේකෙන් ඉදිරියට යන්න. එන අවුරුද්දේ මේ නීති ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නටයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Out of 42 films screened in 2019 and 2020, a total of 44 awards were bestowed upon actors and technicians at the event. This year's Presidential Film Awards ceremony holds special importance as it marks a return after a 3-year hiatus. During the event, Dr. Nanda Malani was honoured as the Best Playback Singer of 2020. President Ranil Wickremesinghe went to the audience where Dr. Nanda Malani was seated to present her with the award for Best Playback Singer of 2020.
Opposition lawmaker Dr. Harsha De Silva commented during the budget debate.
මම මතක් කරන්න කැමති 2024 අයවැය ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙන නීති විරෝධී ලෙස කියලා.
I would like to remind you that the 2024 budget has been presented illegally because more than 5% is the gap in this budget. Therefore, this has been presented illegally. First of all, how can people have 3 meals? How can people pay the electricity bill? How can they get their medicine? Before the economic hitment led this country to bankruptcy, 3 million were below the poverty line. And now it is over 7 million. I recall Nivad Cabral saying that we need to go to the IMF and not the ICU. Due to the short-sighted decisions approved by those here, we have reached this point. You all supported it. I would like to tell this house that it is time to discuss the civic rights of those who put the country in this situation.
ඉෂුව එක නෙමෙයි අපිට යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ IMF එකට කියලා. එදා කෙටි කාලීන නමුත් අමනෝන්‍ය තීරණ ගත් මම ගිය අයවැයේදී කිව්වා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමාගේ අයවැය කාක් කූඩුවේ දාපු කොහ බිත්තරයක් වාගේ කියලා. කොහ පැටිය ලොකු වෙනකොට කාක්කා කොටනවා.
Recently, Namal Rajapaksa, the shadow leader of the SLPP, said that Ranil Wickremesinghe is the SLPP finance minister.
කපුටු කාක් වෙලාද?
The DLR Brothers celebrated 15 years of music excellence in Colombo today.
The iconic music duo in Sri Lanka, DLR Brothers, celebrated their 15-year anniversary in Colombo today. To mark the occasion, Rohan DLR and Ishan DLR also revealed a new logo in line with their 15th anniversary. A press conference was then held to talk about the upcoming exciting announcements and gave the attendees a chance to meet the stars behind the melodies.
You can dance, go and carry on till the night is gone and it's time to go.
Tragedy struck a school in Valampira today when a 7-year-old girl lost her life in an untimely manner. 5 other children were also injured in this accident.
This unfortunate incident was reported from the Veheragoda Junior School in Valampitiya. A structure had been constructed opposite the Grade 1 classroom of the school with taps attached to it. and a sink made of concrete for students to fill water. The structure had collapsed onto a group of students during today's interval.
While
I was on the tree, I heard a noise, and as soon as I heard it, a monk came running. When I ran to find out what it was, 3 children were on the ground. The teachers and I lifted the collapsed wall and somehow got the children out and took them to hospital. There was a huge ruckus here. The principal had also been assaulted. 6 children were buried under the wall, 3 girls and 3 boys. 2 girls and 3 boys were admitted to the National Hospital, but one child's head already had some serious damage when they brought her in. It was a random incident, but the responsible officials should have looked into it. Such fragile structures should not exist in places, especially where children gather. A little girl named Shehansa Netsarani Khodagoda, who suffered serious injuries in this tragedy, succumbed to her injuries shortly after. She was the only daughter in her family and was a resident of Vallampitia. Shehansa's mother works overseas and she grew up in the care of her grandmother and aunt.
She was at my house these days because her grandmother is not well, so she is with me and her mum is abroad. How can I tell this? How can a mother bear this?
The structure that claimed Shehansa's life was unused for a long time.
The taps were in a bad state. Earlier they were used to drink water and wash hands, but since 2 or 3 months ago, water supply to it has been stopped.
Dr. Rukshan Bellana, Deputy Director of the Colombo National Hospital, stated that the other students who were injured are currently receiving treatment at the hospital. A magisterial inquest was held at the location this evening. In a cruel coincidence, little Shehansa lost her life on the very day she celebrated her 7th birthday.
Hosts India took on New Zealand in the first semi-final of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai today. Cricket fans can watch and listen to all the action of the World Cup via the MTV NBC networks, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament. The matches are being streamed live on www.sirasatv.lk, and in addition, the matches are also on air on YFM.
Go about it from here on in.
Second, number 50 arrives for Virat Kohli, and that feeling of achievement will be tinged. 50, just let that sink in a little bit, say it gently. 50 one-day international 100. Next time it's into the ball. Same direction, and over minutes.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Do take care and good night.